Question 1. Examination of the data shows that a critical business service, customer order processing, has been experiencing intermittent performance degradation over the past 2 weeks, leading to delayed order fulfillment and customer complaints. IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager V6. One is deployed and configured to monitor this service and its underlying IT infrastructure components. Several IT support teams have been involved, each proposing different immediate actions based on their area of expertise, but the problem persists. Which of the following approaches best aligns with the principles of effective IT service management and the capabilities of IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager V6? 1. For resolving this recurring issue. Option A. Initiate a comprehensive root cause analysis within IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager V6. 1. By correlating performance metrics, event logs, and service dependency maps to identify the specific component or configuration change causing the degradation, and then implement a targeted permanent fix. Option B. Focus on increasing the allocated resources, e.g., CPU memory, for the servers hosting the customer order processing service, assuming that the current infrastructure is simply overloaded. Option C. Instruct each IT support team to independently implement their proposed immediate fixes on their respective components, with the expectation that one of them will eventually resolve the issue. Option D. Rely on the experience of the longest-serving IT support personnel to diagnose the problem based on past similar incidents, without extensive use of TBSM diagnostic features. The correct answer is A. Initiate a comprehensive root cause analysis within IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager V6. 1. By correlating performance metrics, event logs, and service dependency maps to identify the specific component or configuration change causing the degradation, and then implement a targeted permanent fix. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge due to the critical nature of business service availability and the potential impact of service disruptions on customer operations and regulatory compliance. The core issue revolves around accurately identifying and prioritizing the root cause of a recurring performance degradation impacting a critical business service. The IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager, TBSM, V6. One framework is designed to provide this visibility, but its effective use requires a thorough understanding of its capabilities and the underlying IT infrastructure. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it leverages the diagnostic and analytical capabilities of TBSM to systematically investigate the reported issue. By correlating events, analyzing service dependencies, and examining performance metrics within TBSM, IT professionals can move beyond superficial symptoms to pinpoint the actual root cause. This aligns with the principles of effective IT service management (ITSM) and the operational guidelines expected when managing business-critical services. Specifically, it adheres to the implicit regulatory expectation of maintaining service availability and minimizing business impact, which is a fundamental tenet of IT governance and operational resilience. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on immediate symptom remediation without root cause analysis is professionally unacceptable. This would likely involve repeatedly applying temporary fixes that do not address the underlying problem, leading to recurring disruptions and increased operational costs. From a regulatory perspective, this demonstrates a failure to implement robust service management processes, potentially violating service-level agreements, SLAs, and leading to penalties or reputational damage. Another incorrect approach that relies on anecdotal evidence or assumptions without utilizing the data and analytical tools available in TBSM is also professionally unsound. This method is prone to misdiagnosis, wasting valuable time and resources on the wrong solutions. It fails to meet the professional standard of data-driven decision-making and can lead to prolonged service outages, impacting business continuity and potentially contravening regulatory requirements for service uptime and data integrity. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a structured approach. 1. Understand the business impact. Clearly define the criticality of the affected business service and the potential consequences of its degradation. 2. Leverage diagnostic tools. Utilize the capabilities of TBSM to gather comprehensive data, including event correlation, dependency mapping, and performance metrics. 3. Systematic root cause analysis. Employ a methodical process to identify the fundamental cause of the issue, rather than just addressing symptoms. 4. Validate findings. Confirm the identified root cause through testing or further data analysis. 5. Implement corrective actions. Develop and execute a plan to permanently resolve the root cause. 6. Monitor and verify. Continuously monitor the service to ensure the issue is resolved and does not recur. 7. Document and communicate. Maintain thorough documentation of the incident, investigation, and resolution, and communicate findings to relevant stakeholders. Question 2. Performance analysis shows a consistent, albeit minor, degradation in the response time of a critical business service monitored by IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager V6. 1. The TBSM console displays a warning status for this service, indicating a deviation from its defined performance baseline. The ITSM team is considering several immediate actions, which approach best aligns with the principles of effective service management and the capabilities of TBSM V6. 1. Option A. Immediately allocate additional server resources to the affected service's infrastructure, assuming that increased load is the primary cause. Option B. Temporarily disable the performance monitoring for this service in TBSM to reduce system overhead and eliminate the warning status. Option C. Advise business stakeholders to adjust their expectations regarding the service's performance until a full investigation can be completed at a later date. Option D. Initiate a deep dive into TBSM event management and service impact analysis to identify the specific components contributing to the response time degradation and correlate it with any related alerts or configuration changes. Correct answer is D. Initiate a deep dive into TBSM event management and service impact analysis to identify the specific components contributing to the response time degradation and correlate it with any related alerts or configuration changes. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires the IT Service Management ITSM team to balance the need for accurate performance data with the potential impact on business service availability. The core of the challenge lies in interpreting the implications of the performance analysis within the context of IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager, TBSM, V6. One's capabilities and the expected service levels. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it directly addresses the observed performance anomaly by leveraging TBSM diagnostic and root cause analysis features. This aligns with the principles of proactive service management, aiming to identify and resolve issues before they significantly impact end users or business operations. Specifically, it involves using TBSM event management and service impact analysis to pinpoint the source of the performance degradation. This methodical approach ensures that remediation efforts are targeted and effective, minimizing downtime and maintaining service continuity, which is a fundamental ethical and professional obligation in IT service delivery. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on immediate resource allocation without understanding the root cause is professionally unacceptable. This could lead to misallocation of resources, potentially masking underlying problems or introducing new ones. From a regulatory and ethical standpoint, failing to conduct a thorough investigation before implementing changes can violate service-level agreements, SLAs, if the performance issue persists or worsens. It also demonstrates a lack of due diligence in managing IT services, which could have financial and reputational repercussions for the organization. Another incorrect approach that involves ignoring the performance anomaly until it escalates is ethically and professionally negligent. This passive stance directly contravenes the responsibility to maintain service availability and performance. It can lead to significant business disruption, financial losses, and a breach of trust with stakeholders. Such inaction could also be seen as a failure to comply with internal IT governance policies and potentially external regulations related to service availability and data integrity, depending on the nature of the business service. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a structured approach. 1. Acknowledge and validate the performance data. 2. Utilize the capabilities of the ITSM tool, TBSM V6. 1. In this case, to investigate the anomaly. This includes examining event logs, performance metrics, and service dependencies. 3. Formulate hypotheses about the root cause based on the investigation. 4. Develop and implement a targeted remediation plan. 5. Monitor the impact of the remediation and confirm resolution. 6. Document the entire process for future reference and continuous improvement. This systematic process ensures that decisions are data-driven, risk-aware, and aligned with the overarching goal of delivering reliable and high-performing business services. Question 3. Quality control measures reveal that a critical business service is being reported as degraded due to frequent, transient alerts from a specific network device, yet the underlying business operations remain unaffected. What is the most appropriate course of action to ensure accurate service health reporting in IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager V6? 1. Option A. Manually set the status of the affected business service to OK in IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager V6. 1. Until the network device issues are resolved. Option B. Suppress all alerts originating from the problematic network device in IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager V6. 1. To prevent further reporting of service degradation. Option C. Refine the event correlation rules within IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager V6. 1. To accurately assess the business impact of alerts from the network device and update the service model to reflect true dependencies. Option D. Immediately escalate all alerts related to the network device to senior management for urgent intervention. Correct answer is C. Refine the event correlation rules within IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager V6. 1. To accurately assess the business impact of alerts from the network device and update the service model to reflect true dependencies. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a professional challenge related to the accurate and timely reporting of service health within IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager, TBSM, V6. 1. The challenge lies in balancing the need for immediate visibility of critical service disruptions with the potential for false positives or transient issues that could lead to unnecessary alarm fatigue and misallocation of resources. The quality control findings indicate a discrepancy between perceived service availability and actual operational status, requiring a nuanced approach to event correlation and impact analysis. Careful judgment is required to ensure that the reporting mechanisms in TBSM are configured to reflect true business impact without overwhelming operational teams. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a thorough review and refinement of the event correlation rules and service model within TBSM. This ensures that the system accurately identifies the root cause of service degradation and propagates the impact to the relevant business services. By focusing on the business impact of underlying technical issues, this approach aligns with best practices for IT service management (ITSM), as advocated by frameworks like ITIL, which emphasizes service-centric reporting. Specifically, it ensures that alerts are actionable and directly tied to business outcomes, preventing the reporting of isolated technical glitches as critical business service failures. This adheres to the principle of providing accurate and relevant information to stakeholders, enabling informed decision-making and efficient resource allocation. Incorrect approaches analysis. One incorrect approach would be to simply suppress all alerts related to the affected component without investigating the root cause or the actual business impact. This is a regulatory failure because it masks potential service disruptions, leading to a lack of transparency and an inability to meet service-level agreements, SLAs. Ethically, it misrepresents the true state of service availability to stakeholders. Another incorrect approach would be to immediately escalate all related alerts to senior management without proper correlation or impact assessment. This is professionally unsound as it creates alarm fatigue, erodes trust in the reporting system, and wastes valuable management time on issues that may be transient or have minimal business impact. It fails to demonstrate due diligence in analyzing the situation before escalating. A third incorrect approach would be to manually adjust the service health status in TBSM without updating the underlying event correlation rules or service model. This is a temporary fix that does not address the systemic issue. It is a regulatory failure as it leads to inaccurate historical data and a lack of auditability. Ethically, it is deceptive as it presents a false picture of service health. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a systematic approach to event management and service modeling within TBSM. This involves 1. Understanding the business service model and its dependencies. 2. Reviewing and refining event correlation rules to accurately identify root causes and their business impact. 3. Implementing a tiered alerting strategy based on severity and business impact. 4. Regularly testing and validating the accuracy of the TBSM configuration. 5. Maintaining clear documentation and audit trails for all configuration changes. This process ensures that TBSM provides a reliable and actionable view of service health, supporting efficient IT operation and informed business decisions. Question 4. Analysis of the process for integrating data from multiple IT infrastructure monitoring tools into IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager V6. 1. Focusing on ensuring the accuracy of business service health reporting presents a critical challenge. Given the potential for data discrepancies and the need for a unified view of service status, which of the following approaches best ensures the integrity and reliability of the business service models within TBSM? Option A. Prioritize the rapid deployment of all data sources simultaneously to achieve a comprehensive view of the IT environment as quickly as possible, relying on automated discovery and default mapping rules. Option B. Integrate data from the most frequently used monitoring tools first, assuming that these will provide the most representative data and address less critical sources later. Option C. Focus solely on integrating raw performance metrics from each tool, assuming that TBSM default correlation engine can accurately infer business service status without explicit dependency mapping. Option D. Implement a phased integration strategy, beginning with a pilot group of critical services, and conduct rigorous data validation and reconciliation checks at each stage before proceeding to broader integration. The correct answer is D. Implement a phased integration strategy, beginning with a pilot group of critical services, and conduct rigorous data validation and reconciliation checks at each stage before proceeding to broader integration. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge due to the inherent complexity of integrating disparate IT service management tools and the critical need to maintain accurate business service visibility. The core difficulty lies in ensuring that the data fed into IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager, TBSM, from various sources accurately reflects the real-time operational status and dependencies of underlying IT infrastructure components. Misconfigurations or incomplete data mappings can lead to a distorted view of business service health, impacting critical decision-making, incident response, and service-level agreement (SLA) management. Correct approach, which involves a phased, validated integration of data sources with a focus on data quality and reconciliation, represents best professional practice. This method ensures that each data feed is tested for accuracy and completeness before being fully incorporated into TBSM. It aligns with the principles of robust IT service management (ITSM) frameworks, emphasizing data integrity and a single source of truth for service health. By systematically validating data mappings and reconciliation rules, professionals can build confidence in the accuracy of the business service models within TBSM, thereby enabling effective service management and reporting. This proactive approach minimizes the risk of erroneous alerts and misinformed operational decisions, which is crucial for maintaining business continuity and customer satisfaction. An incorrect approach that prioritizes rapid deployment over data validation would lead to significant regulatory and ethical failures. For instance, if the integration is rushed without verifying the accuracy of CI, configuration item, relationships, or status propagation, TBSM might report a business service as healthy when underlying components are failing. This misrepresentation could violate contractual obligations, SLAs, with customers, leading to financial penalties and reputational damage. Ethically, it constitutes a failure to provide accurate information to stakeholders, potentially leading to poor business decisions based on flawed data. Another incorrect approach, such as relying solely on automated discovery tools without manual oversight and validation, risks missing critical manual configurations or dependencies that automated tools cannot detect. This can result in incomplete or inaccurate service models, again leading to potential SLA breaches and a failure to meet professional standards of due diligence. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a structured approach. 1. Understand the business requirements. Clearly define what constitutes a healthy business service and what data is essential for accurate representation. 2. Assess data sources. Identify all potential data sources and evaluate their reliability, format, and completeness. 3. Develop an integration strategy. Plan a phased integration, prioritizing critical data feeds and establishing clear validation checkpoints. 4. Implement and validate. Execute the integration in stages, rigorously testing data accuracy, relationship mapping, and status propagation at each step. 5. Monitor and refine. Continuously monitor the data within TBSM for anomalies and refine integration rules as needed to maintain accuracy. 6. Document thoroughly. Maintain comprehensive documentation of all integration steps, validation processes, and any exceptions. Question 5. Governance review demonstrates that while IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager V6, one's automated remediation capabilities are technically functional, there is a lack of clear policy regarding the level of human validation required for these automated actions, particularly concerning their impact on critical business services. Considering the need for both operational efficiency and robust risk management, which approach best addresses this governance gap? Option A. Mandate manual validation by a senior IT operations manager for every automated remediation performed by TBSM V6, 1, regardless of the service's criticality. Option B. Rely solely on the default validation settings within TBSM V6, 1 for all automated remediation events, assuming they are adequate for all business contexts. Option C. Implement a risk-based validation strategy, where the level of human oversight for automated remediations is determined by the criticality of the affected business service and the potential impact of the remediation action. Option D. Disable all automated remediation features within TBSM V6, 1, until a comprehensive, manual-only process can be established for all incident resolution scenarios. Correct answer is C. Implement a risk-based validation strategy where the level of human oversight for automated remediations is determined by the criticality of the affected business service and the potential impact of the remediation action. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a challenge in balancing the need for robust service management with the practicalities of resource allocation and the potential for over-reliance on automated processes. The governance review highlights a potential gap in ensuring that the automated remediation capabilities of IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager, TBSM, V6, 1 are not only technically functional, but also aligned with business objectives and risk appetite. The professional challenge lies in determining the appropriate level of human oversight and validation for automated actions, especially when those actions could have significant business impact. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach emphasizes a risk-based validation strategy. This aligns with best practices in IT service management (ITSM) and regulatory expectations for operational resilience. By focusing validation efforts on critical business services and high-impact automated remediations, organizations can efficiently allocate resources while ensuring that the most significant risks are mitigated. This approach acknowledges that not all automated actions require the same level of scrutiny, allowing for a pragmatic and effective governance framework. It also implicitly supports the principle of continuous improvement by allowing for adjustments to validation criteria based on observed performance and evolving business needs, a key tenet of effective IT governance. Incorrect approaches analysis. One incorrect approach would be to mandate manual validation for all automated remediations. This is professionally unacceptable because it negates the primary benefit of automation efficiency and speed and introduces significant operational overhead. It also creates a bottleneck, potentially delaying critical service restoration and increasing the risk of human error during manual intervention. From a regulatory perspective, while it might appear to offer more control, it fails to demonstrate a proportionate and risk-based approach to governance, potentially leading to inefficient resource utilization and a failure to adapt to dynamic operational environments. Another incorrect approach would be to rely solely on the default configuration of TBSM V6, 1, for automated remediation validation without any business context. This is professionally unacceptable as it demonstrates a lack of understanding of the business impact of IT services. Automated actions, even if technically correct, could have unintended negative consequences on business operations if not aligned with business priorities and risk tolerance. This approach fails to meet the governance requirement of ensuring IT operations directly support business objectives and could lead to regulatory noncompliance if business continuity or service-level agreements are jeopardized. A third incorrect approach would be to disable automated remediation entirely due to concerns about potential errors. This is professionally unacceptable as it forfeits the significant benefits of automation, including faster incident resolution and reduced manual effort. It also fails to address the root cause of the concern, which should be to improve the accuracy and reliability of the automated processes through proper configuration, testing, and validation, rather than abandoning the technology altogether. This approach represents a failure to leverage available tools effectively and a missed opportunity for operational improvement. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a decision-making process that begins with understanding the business criticality of the services managed by TBSM. This involves identifying which services are most essential to the organization's operations and revenue. Next, a risk assessment should be conducted for automated remediation actions, categorizing them based on their potential impact on business continuity, financial performance, and regulatory compliance. Based on this risk assessment, a tiered validation strategy should be developed, with higher levels of scrutiny applied to actions impacting critical services or carrying higher inherent risk. Regular review and refinement of this strategy, informed by performance data and business feedback, are crucial for maintaining an effective and compliant governance framework. Question 6. Market research demonstrates that organizations often struggle to effectively prioritize IT incidents based on their actual impact on business operations. Considering the capabilities of IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager v6. 1. Which approach best ensures that its teams can accurately identify and address disruptions to critical business services? Option A. Configuring TBSM to primarily alert on the frequency of specific technical error codes, irrespective of their connection to defined business services. Option B. Focusing on resolving the highest volume of technical alerts generated by underlying monitoring tools, assuming these represent the most critical issues. Option C. Relying on manual analysis by IT staff to correlate technical alerts with potential business service disruptions after they have occurred. Option D. Implementing a robust service model within TBSM that defines business services, their dependencies, and associates incoming technical events with these services to determine business impact. The correct answer is D. Implementing a robust service model within TBSM that defines business services, their dependencies, and associates incoming technical events with these services to determine business impact. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires a nuanced understanding of how IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager, TBSM, v6, one's event management capabilities interact with underlying IT infrastructure monitoring and the business impact of service disruptions. The core difficulty lies in accurately correlating technical events with their actual business service consequences, which is crucial for effective incident management and prioritization. This requires not just technical proficiency, but also a strong grasp of business service definitions and dependencies within TBSM. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it directly addresses the need for accurate service impact assessment. By leveraging TBSM service model to define dependencies and associate events with specific business services, IT operations can move beyond simply reacting to raw alerts. This allows for proactive identification of services at risk, accurate prioritization of incidents based on business criticality, and more efficient resource allocation for resolution. This aligns with the principles of IT service management (ITSM) frameworks, which emphasize service-centric operations and minimizing business disruption. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on the volume of technical alerts without considering their business service context fails to recognize the primary purpose of TBSM, which is to provide a business view of IT. This leads to alert fatigue, misprioritization, and wasted effort on non-critical issues. Represents a failure to adhere to best practices in ITSM by treating technical events in isolation rather than as indicators of potential business service degradation. Another incorrect approach that relies on manual correlation of events with business impact is inefficient and prone to human error, especially in complex IT environments. This approach lacks the automation and systematic approach that TBSM is designed to provide, leading to delays in incident response and potentially overlooking critical service impacts. It fails to leverage the capabilities of the tool to achieve operational efficiency and accuracy. A further incorrect approach that prioritizes resolving the most frequent technical alerts without considering their business service impact ignores the fundamental goal of IT operations: to support business objectives. This can lead to significant business downtime for critical services while less impactful technical issues are addressed. It demonstrates a lack of strategic alignment between IT operations and business needs. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve 1. Clearly defining business services and their dependencies within TBSM service model. 2. Configuring event correlation rules that accurately map technical events to these defined business services. 3. Establishing clear escalation paths based on the business impact of correlated events. 4. Regularly reviewing and refining the service model and correlation rules to ensure ongoing accuracy and effectiveness. Question 7. Research into the operational impact of a widespread network outage affecting multiple data centers. How should an IT service management team utilizing IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager v6 1. Best communicate the availability status of critical business services to executive leadership, considering the need for a business-centric perspective rather than a purely technical one? Option A. Utilize IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager v6 1. To dynamically map the health of underlying network infrastructure components to the availability status of defined business services, providing a consolidated view of business service impact. Option B. Manually compile status updates from individual network monitoring tools and present a summary of affected network devices to executive leadership. Option C. Report only on business services that are completely inaccessible, ignoring any instances of partial service degradation or performance issues. Option D. Focus the communication solely on the technical root cause of the network outage, without explicitly detailing the impact on specific business services. The correct answer is A. Utilize IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager v6 1. To dynamically map the health of underlying network infrastructure components to the availability status of defined business services, providing a consolidated view of business service impact. Explanation. This scenario presents a common challenge in IT service management, ensuring that business service availability is accurately reflected to stakeholders, especially when underlying infrastructure components are experiencing issues. The professional challenge lies in balancing the need for timely, accurate reporting with the complexity of correlating technical events to their business impact. Misinterpreting or misrepresenting this correlation can lead to poor decision-making, eroded trust, and potential regulatory noncompliance if service-level agreements, SLAs, are impacted. Correct approach, which involves leveraging IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager, TBSM, to map technical infrastructure health to business service availability, represents best professional practice. TBSM core function is to provide this business-centric view, allowing IT operations to prioritize remediation efforts based on their impact on critical business functions. This aligns with the principles of IT service management, ITSM, frameworks, which emphasize service delivery and customer satisfaction. By accurately reflecting the status of business services, even when underlying technical issues exist, IT can proactively communicate with business stakeholders, manage expectations, and demonstrate adherence to contractual obligations. This proactive and transparent communication is crucial for maintaining business continuity and trust. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on the status of individual technical components without considering their impact on business services fails to provide the necessary business context. This can lead to a situation where business users are unaware of potential service degradation or outages, even if the IT team is aware of technical issues. This lack of transparency can violate implicit or explicit service expectations and potentially breach SLAs if the business service is indeed unavailable. Another incorrect approach that involves manually aggregating data from disparate monitoring tools without a unified business service model is inefficient and prone to errors. This manual process is time-consuming, increases the risk of misinterpretation, and delays the accurate reporting of business service status. It bypasses the intended functionality of a tool like TBSM, which is designed to automate and standardize this correlation, thereby reducing the likelihood of human error and ensuring consistency in reporting. A further incorrect approach that involves reporting only when a business service is completely unavailable overlooks the importance of communicating partial service degradation. Business users may still be able to perform critical functions even if a service is not fully operational. Failing to report on these partial impacts can lead to unexpected disruptions and a lack of preparedness within the business. Professional decision-making in such situations requires a systematic approach. First, Understand the business services and their critical dependencies. Second, implement a robust service modeling capability, such as that provided by TBSM, to map technical health to business service status. Third, establish clear communication protocols for reporting service status, including partial degradations. And finally, regularly review and refine the service model and reporting mechanisms to ensure ongoing accuracy and relevance. Question 8. The evaluation methodology shows that a critical business service, managed by IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager V6, 1, is exhibiting intermittent performance issues. The Service Health Dashboard in TBSM indicates a degraded state for this service, with multiple related components showing warning alerts. The IT operations team is under pressure to restore full service functionality immediately to meet Service Level Agreement (SLA) commitments. Which of the following actions is the most appropriate first step to address this situation? Option A. Focus solely on addressing the individual warning alerts displayed for each component, without consulting the overall service health or impact analysis within TBSM. Option B. Proactively reconfigure network settings for components that are not directly flagged with alerts, but are perceived to be potentially related to the performance issues. Option C. Immediately restart all components associated with the degraded business service to ensure a clean slate and rapid restoration of functionality. Option D. Initiate a deep dive analysis using TBSM event correlation and service impact analysis features to identify the root cause of the degradation and its precise impact on the business service. Correct answer is D. Initiate a deep dive analysis using TBSM event correlation and service impact analysis features to identify the root cause of the degradation and its precise impact on the business service. Explanation. The evaluation methodology shows a scenario where a critical business service, managed by IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager, TBSM, V6, 1, is experiencing intermittent performance degradation. The situation is professionally challenging because it directly impacts business operations and customer satisfaction, requiring swift and accurate diagnosis and resolution. The challenge is amplified by the need to maintain service level agreements, SLAs, and adhere to internal governance policies, all while ensuring data integrity within TBSM. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes a systematic, data-driven investigation within the established TBSM framework. This involves leveraging TBSM event management and service impact analysis capabilities to pinpoint the root cause of the degradation without introducing further instability. By correlating events, analyzing historical performance data, and understanding the dependencies modeled within TBSM, the team can identify the affected components and their business service impact. This aligns with the principles of IT service management (ITSM) and the operational guidelines for TBSM, ensuring that actions taken are informed, controlled, and traceable. The focus is on understanding the problem within the context of the managed services, which is a core function of TBSM. An incorrect approach that involves immediately restarting services without proper diagnosis fails to adhere to the principles of controlled change and incident management. This action could mask the root cause, lead to further unexpected issues, and violate the change control procedures expected in a regulated IT environment. It bypasses the diagnostic capabilities of TBSM, potentially leading to a recurrence of the problem. Another incorrect approach, such as solely relying on anecdotal user reports without consulting TBSM data, neglects the structured and verifiable information available through the management system. This can lead to misdiagnosis, wasted effort on irrelevant components, and a failure to meet SLAs due to delayed or incorrect remediation. It undermines the purpose of implementing a tool like TBSM, which is to provide a consolidated and authoritative view of service health. A further incorrect approach, which involves making configuration changes to unrelated components based on assumptions, is highly risky. Without the diagnostic insights from TBSM impact analysis, such changes are speculative and could introduce new problems or exacerbate existing ones. This violates the principle of least privilege and controlled change, potentially leading to widespread service disruption and non-compliance with operational standards. Professionals should adopt a decision-making process that begins with understanding the scope and impact of the incident as reported by TBSM. This involves reviewing active events, service health dashboards, and impact trees. Next, they should consult historical performance data and trending within TBSM to identify patterns. The process should then move to targeted investigation of the components identified by TBSM analysis, followed by the development and execution of a remediation plan that is documented and approved through the appropriate change management process. Throughout this, continuous monitoring via TBSM is crucial to confirm resolution and prevent recurrence. Question 9. The risk matrix shows a moderate severity anomaly detected within the IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager V6. One environment, potentially impacting the accuracy of business service availability reporting. The immediate business impact is assessed as low, but the regulatory framework mandates strict adherence to data integrity for all service reporting. What is the most appropriate next step to ensure both operational stability and regulatory compliance? Option A. Immediately deploy a hotfix to address the anomaly, prioritizing the restoration of accurate reporting without further analysis to avoid any potential regulatory scrutiny. Option B. Escalate the issue to senior management for a decision on whether to prioritize remediation or accept the current reporting accuracy, citing the low immediate business impact. Option C. Document the anomaly and its potential impact, but defer any remediation efforts until a more significant business impact is observed to conserve resources. Option D. Initiate a controlled remediation process after a thorough impact assessment on business services and a review of relevant regulatory guidelines for data integrity in service reporting. The correct answer is D. Initiate a controlled remediation process after a thorough impact assessment on business services and a review of relevant regulatory guidelines for data integrity in service reporting. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires balancing the immediate need for operational efficiency with the long-term implications of regulatory compliance and data integrity. The IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager, TBSM, V6. One environment, as governed by the specified regulatory framework, which we assume for this exam is a hypothetical but representative framework focused on IT service management and data handling, demands a structured approach to risk management. The core tension lies in addressing a detected anomaly that could impact service availability versus the potential for introducing further instability or non-compliance by hastily implementing a fix without proper validation. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes a systematic, documented, and risk-informed decision-making process. By first assessing the impact of the anomaly on business services, and then consulting the established regulatory guidelines for incident response and change management, the team ensures that any action taken is both effective and compliant. This aligns with the principles of due diligence and responsible IT governance, ensuring that business continuity is maintained while adhering to the strictures of the regulatory framework. The emphasis on root cause analysis and controlled remediation minimizes the risk of recurrence and demonstrates a commitment to maintaining the integrity of the TBSM system and the data it manages. An incorrect approach that bypasses proper impact assessment and regulatory consultation would represent a significant ethical and regulatory failure. Such an approach risks exacerbating the initial problem, potentially leading to extended service outages, data corruption, or security vulnerabilities, all of which could trigger regulatory penalties or sanctions. Failing to document the incident and the remediation steps would also violate audit trail requirements and hinder future troubleshooting and compliance reviews. Another incorrect approach, such as ignoring the anomaly due to perceived low immediate impact without a formal risk assessment, would be negligent. This could lead to a more severe issue manifesting later, potentially with greater business impact, and a more difficult regulatory investigation due to the lack of proactive management. Professionals should adopt a decision-making framework that begins with understanding the business context and regulatory landscape. This involves 1. Identifying and categorizing the issue, in this case, an anomaly in TBSM. 2. Assessing the potential impact on business services and compliance obligations. 3. Consulting relevant regulatory guidelines and internal policies for incident response and change management. 4. Developing and evaluating potential remediation strategies, considering their risks and benefits. 5. Selecting and implementing the most appropriate strategy in a controlled manner, with thorough documentation. 6. Verifying the effectiveness of the solution and conducting a post-incident review. This structured approach ensures that decisions are not only technically sound, but also ethically responsible and legally compliant. Question 10. Which approach would be most compliant with regulatory frameworks for managing IT services and ensuring data integrity when introducing a new business service into an environment already utilizing IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager v6? 1. Option A. Introduce the new business service with minimal initial IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager v6. 1 configuration, planning to update it incrementally as operational issues arise. Option B. Deploy the new business service immediately and rely on post-deployment discovery tools to populate IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager v6. 1 with the service's configuration items and relationships. Option C. Fully integrate and validate all relevant configuration items and service models for the new business service within IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager v6. 1 before the service is made available to end users. Option D. Focus solely on the technical deployment of the new business service, assuming that downstream monitoring and reporting tools will automatically capture its operational status for IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager v6. 1. The correct answer is C. Fully integrate and validate all relevant configuration items and service models for the new business service within IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager v6. 1 before the service is made available to end users. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge due to the inherent tension between rapid system deployment and the imperative of regulatory compliance, particularly concerning data integrity and service availability, as managed by IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager, TBSM, v6. 1. The pressure to deliver new business services quickly can lead to shortcuts that inadvertently violate established regulatory frameworks. Careful judgment is required to balance business agility with the non-negotiable requirements of compliance. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes a thorough, documented, and auditable process for integrating new services into TBSM. This involves ensuring that all relevant configuration items, their relationships, and their associated service models are accurately represented and validated within TBSM before the service goes live. This proactive stance aligns with regulatory expectations for robust service management, data accuracy, and demonstrable control over IT infrastructure supporting business operations. It ensures that TBSM can effectively monitor, report on, and manage the new service's availability and performance, thereby meeting compliance obligations related to service continuity and incident management. An incorrect approach that bypasses the full integration and validation of new services into TBSM before deployment poses significant regulatory and ethical failures. It creates a blind spot in the organization's service management capabilities, meaning TBSM cannot accurately reflect the operational state of the new service. This leads to potential non-compliance with regulations requiring accurate IT asset and service inventory, as well as the inability to effectively manage service disruptions. Ethically, it represents a failure to uphold professional responsibility by knowingly deploying a service without adequate oversight and management, potentially impacting business operations and customer trust. Another incorrect approach that relies solely on post-deployment discovery tools to populate TBSM is also professionally unacceptable. While discovery tools are valuable, they are often reactive and may miss critical relationships or attributes that are essential for accurate service modeling and impact analysis. This can lead to incomplete or inaccurate service maps, hindering effective incident response and change management, and thus failing to meet regulatory requirements for comprehensive service oversight. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a clear understanding of the regulatory landscape governing IT service management and data integrity. Professionals must advocate for a phased integration approach where compliance checks and TBSM updates are integral parts of the service deployment lifecycle, not afterthoughts. This involves establishing clear service onboarding procedures that mandate TBSM integration and validation as mandatory gates. When faced with pressure to expedite deployment, professionals should clearly articulate the risks associated with noncompliance and propose alternative strategies that mitigate these risks while still aiming for efficient delivery. This includes seeking executive sponsorship for robust service management practices and ensuring adequate resources are allocated for proper TBSM configuration and maintenance. Question 11. The review process indicates that a critical business service is experiencing intermittent performance degradation. Initial reports suggest a recent configuration change was made to a Tivoli monitoring agent that supports this service, which approach best aligns with regulatory compliance and professional best practices for diagnosing and resolving this issue within the IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager V6. 1 framework. Option A. Focus troubleshooting efforts solely on the business application layer, assuming the IT infrastructure is functioning correctly. Option B. Conduct a thorough investigation using IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager V6, service models, event correlation, and historical performance data to pinpoint the root cause, correlating it with the recent configuration change. Option C. Rely on anecdotal user feedback to guide the troubleshooting process without consulting TBSM diagnostic tools. Option D. Immediately revert the recent configuration change to the Tivoli monitoring agent and monitor the business service for improvement. The correct answer is D. Immediately revert the recent configuration change to the Tivoli monitoring agent and monitor the business service for improvement. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in IT service management where a critical business service is experiencing performance degradation. The professional challenge lies in accurately attributing the root cause of the degradation to a specific component or configuration change within the IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager, TBSM, V6. 1 environment, especially when multiple potential factors are present. The need for swift resolution to minimize business impact necessitates a structured and evidence-based approach, adhering strictly to the regulatory framework governing IT operations and service delivery. The complexity arises from the interconnectedness of IT components and the potential for misdiagnosis, which can lead to wasted resources, prolonged downtime, and non-compliance. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a systematic investigation that leverages the diagnostic and reporting capabilities of IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager V6. 1. Specifically focusing on its ability to correlate events and identify dependencies. This aligns with regulatory expectations for IT service continuity and incident management, which mandate prompt and accurate root cause analysis. By examining TBSM service models, event logs, and historical performance data, a professional can trace the degradation back to the specific configuration change in the Tivoli monitoring agent. This method ensures that the resolution is targeted, minimizing the risk of introducing further issues and demonstrating due diligence in restoring service to its agreed-upon levels. This approach is best professional practice as it is data-driven, minimizes business disruption, and supports auditability by providing clear evidence of the investigation and resolution process. Incorrect approach is analysis. 1 incorrect approach involves immediately reverting the recent configuration change without a thorough investigation. This is professionally unacceptable because it bypasses the diagnostic process, potentially masking the true root cause or even introducing new problems if the change was not the actual culprit. Fails to meet regulatory requirements for incident management, which demand a systematic approach to problem resolution rather than reactive guesswork. Another incorrect approach is to focus solely on the symptoms of the business service degradation without consulting TBSM diagnostic tools. This is a failure to utilize available resources effectively and can lead to a superficial understanding of the problem. Neglects the regulatory imperative to maintain robust IT service management processes that rely on comprehensive monitoring and analysis. A third incorrect approach is to assume the issue lies with the business application itself without considering the underlying IT infrastructure managed by TBSM. This demonstrates a lack of holistic problem solving and ignores the potential for infrastructure or configuration issues to impact application performance. It violates the principle of thorough investigation expected in regulated IT environments. Professional reasoning. Professionals facing such situations should employ a structured incident management framework. This framework typically involves 1. Incident detection and logging, recognizing the service degradation and formally logging the incident. 2. Incident classification and prioritization, determining the impact and urgency of the incident. 3. Initial diagnosis, gathering preliminary information and utilizing available tools like TBSM. 4. Investigation and diagnosis, systematically analyzing data from TBSM, including service models, event correlation, and performance metrics to identify the root cause. 5. Resolution and recovery, implementing the appropriate fix based on the diagnosis. 6. Incident closure, verifying that the service has been restored and documenting the resolution. 7. Post-incident review, analyzing the incident to identify lessons learned and prevent recurrence. This systematic process, heavily reliant on the capabilities of tools like IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager V6. 1. Ensures compliance with regulatory requirements for IT service management and promotes efficient and effective problem resolution. Question 12. The analysis reveals that a financial services organization is experiencing increasing complexity in its IT infrastructure, supporting critical trading platforms. To enhance the resilience and availability of these platforms, a comprehensive risk assessment is being planned. Given the constraints of available resources and the dynamic nature of the trading environment, which approach to conducting this risk assessment would best align with professional best practices and regulatory expectations for IT service management and risk mitigation. Option A. Rely exclusively on automated scanning tools to identify all potential vulnerabilities and threats, with minimal human review, assuming the software will accurately flag all relevant risks. Option B. Initiate a complete, static risk assessment of every IT component within the infrastructure simultaneously, aiming for a single, exhaustive report before any remediation actions are considered. Option C. Delegate the entire risk assessment process to the IT operations team, without actively engaging business unit leaders to define service criticality and potential impact. Option D. Conduct a phased risk assessment, prioritizing critical business services and their underlying IT components, and iteratively expanding the scope as resources allow, incorporating business stakeholder input throughout the process. Correct answer is D. Conduct a phased risk assessment, prioritizing critical business services and their underlying IT components, and iteratively expanding the scope as resources allow, incorporating business stakeholder input throughout the process. Explanation. The scenario presents a common challenge in IT service management, balancing the need for comprehensive risk assessment with the practical constraints of resource availability and the dynamic nature of business services. IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager, TBSM, V6. 1. As a tool for service impact analysis and availability management, relies heavily on accurate risk assessments to prioritize remediation efforts and inform business continuity planning. The professional challenge lies in ensuring that the risk assessment process, while thorough, remains agile enough to adapt to changes in the IT environment and business priorities, without becoming an overwhelming administrative burden. The correct approach, focusing on a phased and prioritized risk assessment, represents best professional practice because it aligns with the principles of efficient resource allocation and effective risk management. By initially focusing on high-impact services and critical components, it ensures that the most significant risks are identified and addressed first. This aligns with regulatory expectations for robust IT governance and risk management frameworks, which often mandate a risk-based approach to security and availability. It allows for continuous improvement, where less critical areas can be assessed as resources permit, ensuring a sustainable and evolving risk posture. An incorrect approach that attempts a complete, static risk assessment of all components simultaneously, without regard for service criticality or resource limitations, fails ethically and regulatorily. This approach is likely to be unachievable within practical timeframes, leading to outdated assessments and a false sense of security. It demonstrates a lack of professional judgment in prioritizing efforts and managing resources effectively. Furthermore, it could lead to regulatory noncompliance if critical risks are overlooked due to the sheer volume of the assessment. Another incorrect approach, which relies solely on automated tools without human oversight or contextual understanding, is also professionally deficient. While automation is valuable, risk assessment requires nuanced interpretation of findings, considering business context, interdependencies, and potential cascading failures that automated tools might not fully grasp. This can lead to misinterpretation of risks, incorrect prioritization, and ultimately a failure to adequately protect critical business services, potentially violating due diligence requirements. Finally, an approach that neglects to involve business stakeholders in the risk assessment process is fundamentally flawed. Risk is not solely an IT concern. It has direct implications for business operations and objectives. Without business input, the IT team may misjudge the true impact of a risk or overlook risks that are critical from a business perspective. This failure to collaborate violates principles of good governance and can lead to misaligned IT strategies with business goals, increasing the likelihood of significant business disruption. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve 1. Understanding the business context. Identify critical business services and their dependencies. 2. Prioritizing IT assets. Map IT components to business services and assess their criticality. 3. Phased risk assessment. Begin with high-priority services and components, then expand. 4. Leveraging automation intelligently. Use tools for data gathering but ensure human analysis and validation. 5. Stakeholder engagement. Continuously involve business and IT stakeholders to ensure alignment and accurate impact assessment. 6. Iterative review. Establish a process for regular review and updates to the risk assessment as the environment changes. Question 13. Benchmark analysis indicates that a critical business service monitored by IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager, TBSM, V6, 1 is experiencing intermittent performance degradation. The IT operations team is under pressure to restore full service immediately. Which of the following approaches represents the most professional and effective method for addressing this situation? Option A. Immediately apply a recent configuration change that was previously successful in resolving similar, but not identical, performance issues in another TBSM environment. Option B. Initiate a comprehensive investigation to determine the precise impact on business operations. Conduct a thorough root cause analysis of the performance degradation within TBSM and its dependencies, and then evaluate potential solutions based on risk and effectiveness before implementation. Option C. Roll back the most recent TBSM software update, as performance issues are often associated with new releases, and then monitor the service. Option D. Focus solely on optimizing the performance of the specific TBSM component that appears to be exhibiting the symptoms, without investigating broader system impacts or potential underlying causes. The correct answer is A. Immediately apply a recent configuration change that was previously successful in resolving similar, but not identical, performance issues in another TBSM environment. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in IT service management, where a critical business service is experiencing performance degradation. The challenge lies in balancing the immediate need to restore service with the long-term implications of the chosen resolution strategy. The pressure to resolve quickly can lead to hasty decisions that might not fully address the root cause or could introduce new risks. The complexity of IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager, TBSM, V6. 1. With its interdependencies and potential for cascading failures, further amplifies this challenge. A thorough decision-making process is crucial to avoid exacerbating the problem or violating service-level agreements, SLAs. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a structured, data-driven investigation that prioritizes understanding the impact and root cause before implementing a fix. This aligns with best practices in IT service management ITSM frameworks, such as ITIL, which emphasize incident management and problem management processes. Specifically, it involves 1. Impact assessment, determining the scope and severity of the service degradation on business operations. This is critical for prioritizing the incident and communicating effectively with stakeholders. 2. Root cause analysis (RCA), investigating the underlying reasons for the performance issue. This might involve analyzing TBSM logs, system metrics, and configuration changes. 3. Solution evaluation, considering multiple potential solutions, assessing their risks, benefits, and feasibility within the context of the TBSM environment. This includes evaluating potential side effects on other services or TBSM components. 4. Controlled implementation, applying the chosen solution in a controlled manner, often with rollback plans, to minimize disruption. 5. Verification, confirming that the issue is resolved and the service is performing as expected. This systematic approach ensures that the resolution is effective, sustainable, and minimizes further risk, thereby upholding professional responsibility and adherence to service delivery standards. Incorrect approach is analysis. Implementing a fix without a thorough impact assessment or root cause analysis is professionally unacceptable because it relies on guesswork rather than informed decision-making. This can lead to superficial fixes that do not address the underlying problem, resulting in recurring incidents and prolonged service disruption. Introduction of new, unforeseen issues due to a lack of understanding of system interdependencies within TBSM. Violation of SLAs due to extended downtime or degraded performance, potentially leading to financial penalties and reputational damage. Failure to learn from the incident, hindering continuous improvement efforts. Applying a solution based solely on past experience without validating its applicability to the current situation is also professionally unsound. While experience is valuable, each incident can have unique contributing factors. Relying on assumptions without verification can lead to incorrect diagnoses and ineffective resolutions, similar to the issues described above. Focusing exclusively on the immediate symptom without considering the broader impact on business services is a failure of professional judgment. TBSM purpose is to provide visibility into business service health. Ignoring this overarching goal in favor of a narrow technical fix undermines the value of the tool and the IT team's role in supporting the business. This can lead to resolutions that technically fix a component but leave the business service still impaired. Professional reasoning. Professionals should employ a decision-making framework that prioritizes a structured and analytical approach to incident resolution. This framework typically involves 1. Define the problem. Clearly articulate the observed symptoms and their impact. 2. Gather information. Collect relevant data from logs, monitoring tools, and affected users. 3. Analyze information. Perform root cause analysis to identify the underlying issue. 4. Generate potential solutions. Brainstorm multiple resolution options. 5. Evaluate solutions. Assess each option based on effectiveness, risk, cost, and feasibility. 6. Select best solution. Choose the option that best balances these factors. 7. Implement solution. Execute the chosen solution with appropriate controls and rollback plans. 8. Verify and document. Confirm resolution and document the incident, cause, and solution for future reference and learning. This systematic process ensures that decisions are informed, risks are managed, and service restoration is achieved efficiently and effectively, upholding professional standards and regulatory compliance related to service delivery. Question 14. Compliance review shows that the risk assessment process for IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager V6.1 has primarily focused on the number of historical technical alerts generated by individual components, without a systematic evaluation of the potential impact of these alerts on critical business services. Which of the following approaches best addresses this deficiency and aligns with professional risk management practices? Option A. Conduct a detailed forensic analysis of every past technical alert, understand its root cause, irrespective of its business impact. Option B. Rely on the IT operations team's anecdotal experience to identify and prioritize the most significant risks to business services. Option C. Increase the frequency of automated scans for known technical vulnerabilities within the TBSM environment to identify more potential risks. Option D. Implement a business impact analysis framework to quantify the potential disruption to business services caused by technical failures, and then prioritize risks based on this impact in conjunction with likelihood. Correct answer is D. Implement a business impact analysis framework to quantify the potential disruption to business services caused by technical failures, and then prioritize risks based on this impact in conjunction with likelihood. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a challenge in risk assessment for IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager, TBSM, V6.1 due to the dynamic nature of IT services and the potential for cascading failures. The core difficulty lies in accurately identifying, quantifying, and prioritizing risks that could impact business service availability and performance. A failure to conduct a thorough and systematic risk assessment can lead to misallocation of resources, inadequate mitigation strategies, and ultimately, business disruption. The complexity is amplified by the interconnectedness of services within TBSM, where a single underlying technical issue can manifest as multiple business service degradations. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a structured and comprehensive risk assessment methodology that aligns with industry best practices and regulatory expectations for IT service management. This methodology should encompass 1. Risk identification, systematically identifying potential threats and vulnerabilities across all components managed by TBSM, including infrastructure, applications, and dependencies. This involves engaging with stakeholders, reviewing historical incident data, and conducting technical assessments. 2. Risk analysis, evaluating the likelihood of each identified risk occurring and the potential impact on business services. This often involves qualitative and quantitative methods, focusing on business impact rather than purely technical metrics. For TBSM, this means understanding how a technical failure translates to a business service outage or degradation. 3. Risk evaluation, prioritizing risks based on their severity, likelihood, impact, to determine which require immediate attention and mitigation. This ensures that resources are focused on the most critical risks. 4. Risk treatment, developing and implementing strategies to mitigate, transfer, accept, or avoid identified risks. This could involve implementing new controls, enhancing existing ones, or developing contingency plans. 5. Monitoring and review, regularly reviewing and updating the risk assessment to account for changes in the IT environment, new threats, and the effectiveness of implemented controls. This approach represents best professional practice because it is proactive, systematic, and business-aligned. It ensures that risk management is an ongoing process, not a one-time event, and that decisions are based on a clear understanding of potential business consequences. Adherence to such a structured approach is often implicitly or explicitly required by IT governance frameworks and can be a key component of demonstrating due diligence in regulatory compliance, particularly concerning service availability and business continuity. Incorrect approaches analysis, focusing solely on technical vulnerabilities without considering their business impact, is an incorrect approach. This failure neglects the fundamental purpose of TBSM, which is to manage and monitor business services. Regulatory and ethical failures here include a lack of business alignment, potentially leading to investments in mitigating risks that have minimal actual business consequence, while overlooking critical service disruptions. Prioritizing risks based on the frequency of past technical alerts without a thorough impact analysis is also incorrect. While past incidents are valuable data, they do not always reflect the current risk landscape or the potential for new, high-impact events. This approach can lead to a misallocation of resources, focusing on minor, recurring issues while neglecting less frequent but potentially catastrophic risks. This demonstrates a failure in due diligence and a lack of comprehensive risk evaluation. Relying exclusively on automated risk detection tools without human oversight and contextualization is another incorrect approach. While automation is crucial for efficiency, it can miss nuanced risks or misinterpret complex interdependencies. Human judgment is essential for understanding the business context, validating findings, and making informed decisions about risk prioritization and treatment. This can lead to regulatory and ethical failures by creating a false sense of security and potentially missing critical risks that require human insight. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a risk assessment framework that is integrated with business objectives and service management processes. The decision-making process should involve 1. Understanding the business context. Clearly define the business services managed by TBSM and their criticality. 2. Stakeholder engagement. Involve business owners, IT operations, and security teams in the risk assessment process. 3. Systematic identification and analysis. Utilize a structured methodology to identify and analyze risks, considering both technical and business impacts. 4. Prioritization based on impact. Rank risks based on their potential to disrupt business services. 5. Actionable mitigation plans. Develop clear, implementable plans for treating identified risks. 6. Continuous improvement. Establish a process for ongoing monitoring, review, and adaptation of the risk assessment. Question 15. During the evaluation of the risk assessment process for IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager V6, 1. Which of the following approaches best ensures that identified risks are effectively managed in alignment with regulatory expectations for IT service continuity and business impact? Option A. Utilizing a static, one-time risk assessment that relies on historical data and does not account for emerging threats or changes in the IT environment. Option B. implementing risk mitigation strategies based primarily on the lowest cost of implementation, even if these strategies offer only partial protection against identified risks. Option C, focusing exclusively on identifying and mitigating technical vulnerabilities within the TBSM infrastructure, assuming that all business risks are directly tied to these technical flaws. Option D, prioritizing the mitigation of risks that have the highest potential business impact, regardless of their technical complexity, and ensuring that mitigation strategies are regularly reviewed and updated. The correct answer is D, prioritizing the mitigation of risks that have the highest potential business impact, regardless of their technical complexity, and ensuring that mitigation strategies are regularly reviewed and updated. Explanation: this scenario presents a professional challenge because the risk assessment for IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager, TBSM, V6, one must be conducted within a specific regulatory framework, which is not explicitly stated but implied by the exam's context. The core difficulty lies in ensuring that the risk assessment process not only identifies potential threats and vulnerabilities, but also aligns with the compliance requirements mandated by the relevant jurisdiction for IT service management and business continuity. A robust risk assessment is crucial for maintaining service availability, data integrity, and regulatory adherence, all of which are critical for TBSM function in managing business services. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it systematically integrates the identification of potential risks with the evaluation of their impact on business services, considering both technical and operational aspects. This approach ensures that mitigation strategies are prioritized based on their effectiveness in reducing the likelihood and impact of identified risks, thereby safeguarding business operations and meeting compliance obligations. It reflects a proactive stance in IT governance and risk management, which is essential for organizations relying on TBSM for service oversight. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on technical vulnerabilities without considering the business impact would be professionally unacceptable. This failure stems from a lack of understanding of TBSM purpose, which is to link IT infrastructure to business services. Such an approach would neglect risks that, while not purely technical, could severely disrupt business operations, leading to potential regulatory breaches related to service-level agreements or data protection. Another incorrect approach that prioritizes cost reduction over comprehensive risk mitigation would also be professionally unsound. While cost-effectiveness is important, it should not compromise the ability to manage and mitigate significant risks. This can lead to a false sense of security, leaving the organization exposed to disruptions that could have far greater financial and reputational consequences, and potentially violating regulatory mandates for due diligence in risk management. A third incorrect approach that relies on outdated risk assessment methodologies would fail to account for the evolving threat landscape and the specific complexities of modern IT environments, including those managed by TBSM. This can result in the overlooking of critical emerging risks, leading to inadequate controls and potential noncompliance with current regulatory standards for IT risk management. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a thorough understanding of the specific regulatory framework applicable to the organization and the technology in use. It requires a holistic view that bridges technical, operational, and business perspectives. Professionals must prioritize a risk assessment process that is comprehensive, dynamic, and aligned with business objectives and regulatory mandates, ensuring that mitigation efforts are proportionate to the identified risks and their potential impact. Question 16. Process analysis reveals that a critical business service, reliant on multiple components managed by IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager V6, 1, is experiencing an increasing number of minor performance degradations. To ensure continued service availability and performance, what is the most effective approach to conducting a risk assessment for this scenario? Option A. Rely solely on historical incident data from TBSM to identify recurring issues and assume that future risks will mirror past occurrences, without proactively investigating potential new threats or vulnerabilities. Option B. Perform a detailed risk assessment of every individual configuration item, SI, within the TBSM model, assigning a generic risk score based on its type and age, irrespective of its criticality to the specific business service in question. Option C. Initiate a business impact analysis to understand the potential consequences of service disruption or degradation on key business processes. Then map these impacts to the specific TBSM-managed components and their associated risks, focusing on those with the highest potential business impact. Option D. Conduct a comprehensive, component-by-component technical vulnerability scan across all managed IT infrastructure, prioritizing remediation of any identified low-severity technical flaws, regardless of their direct impact on the critical business service. The correct answer is D. Conduct a comprehensive, component-by-component technical vulnerability scan across all managed IT infrastructure, prioritizing remediation of any identified low-severity technical flaws, regardless of their direct impact on the critical business service. Explanation: this scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires balancing the need for comprehensive risk assessment with the practical constraints of resource allocation and the potential for over-analysis. The IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager, TBSM, V6.1 environment, as per the C2010-574 exam's implied regulatory framework, which we assume aligns with general IT governance best practices and potentially specific industry regulations relevant to service management. Though not explicitly stated as US, UK, or O, we will proceed with general best practices for IT risk management. Necessitates a structured approach to identifying, analyzing, and mitigating risks that could impact business service availability and performance. The challenge lies in ensuring that the risk assessment is thorough enough to be effective without becoming a bottleneck or an exercise in futility due to excessive detail or scope. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes risks based on their potential impact and likelihood, aligning with established IT risk management frameworks. This ensures that resources are focused on the most critical threats to business service continuity and performance, which is a fundamental requirement for maintaining service-level agreements, SLAs, and meeting business objectives. By adopting a phased approach, starting with high-level business impact and progressively drilling down into technical components, it allows for efficient identification of key risk areas. This aligns with the principle of proportionality in risk management, where the effort expended on risk assessment is commensurate with the potential impact of the risks. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on the technical minutiae of every single component without considering its business criticality would be professionally unacceptable. This is because it fails to prioritize effectively, leading to wasted effort on low-impact risks, while potentially overlooking significant threats to core business functions. Ethically, this could be seen as a failure to act in the best interest of the organization by not allocating resources optimally to protect critical business services. Another incorrect approach, such as relying solely on historical incident data without proactive risk identification, would be a failure to adhere to best practices in risk management, which mandates a forward-looking perspective. This approach is reactive rather than proactive, leaving the organization vulnerable to new or evolving threats. It also fails to consider risks that have not yet materialized but have a high potential impact. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a clear understanding of the business objectives and the critical services that support them. This understanding should then guide the risk assessment process, ensuring that the focus remains on protecting those services. A tiered approach, starting with business impact analysis, and then mapping those impacts to IT components and their associated risks, is a robust framework. Professionals should also consider the organization's risk appetite and tolerance levels when determining the depth and breadth of the risk assessment. Regular review and updates to the risk assessment are crucial to maintain its relevance and effectiveness in a dynamic IT environment. Question 17. The efficiency study reveals that IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager V6.1 is reporting a 5% discrepancy in actual business service availability metrics. What is the most appropriate initial step to assess the risk posed by this discrepancy? Option A. Document the technical root cause of the 5% availability reporting discrepancy and schedule it for resolution in the next development cycle. Option B. Conduct a business impact analysis to determine which critical business processes and regulatory requirements are most affected by the 5% availability reporting discrepancy. Option C. Immediately initiate a full system performance tuning exercise for TBSM V6.1 to resolve the reporting discrepancy. Option D. Inform all stakeholders, including executive management and business unit leaders, about the 5% availability reporting discrepancy and its potential implications. The correct answer is C. Immediately initiate a full system performance tuning exercise for TBSM V6, one to resolve the reporting discrepancy. Explanation. The efficiency study reveals that IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager, TBSM, V6, one is experiencing performance degradation, impacting the accuracy of business service availability reporting. This scenario is professionally challenging because it directly affects the reliability of critical business insights derived from TBSM, potentially leading to misinformed strategic decisions and operational inefficiencies. The core of the challenge lies in accurately assessing the risk associated with this degradation without causing undue alarm or implementing costly, unnecessary remediation. The correct approach, which involves a systematic risk assessment focused on the impact of inaccurate availability reporting on key business processes and regulatory compliance, represents best professional practice. This aligns with the principles of IT governance and risk management, which mandate that technology investments and operations should support business objectives and adhere to relevant regulations. By prioritizing the assessment based on business impact, IT professionals ensure that resources are allocated effectively to mitigate the most significant risks. This proactive and business-centric approach demonstrates due diligence and a commitment to maintaining the integrity of business service management. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on the technical symptoms of performance degradation without quantifying the business impact fails to address the root cause from a business perspective. This could lead to overinvestment in technical fixes that do not resolve the underlying business risk. Another incorrect approach, which involves immediately escalating the issue to senior management without a preliminary risk assessment, can create unnecessary panic and consume valuable executive time, undermining efficient decision-making. A third incorrect approach, which involves ignoring the performance degradation due to perceived low immediate impact, is a direct violation of risk management principles and could lead to significant unforeseen business disruptions and potential regulatory noncompliance if the inaccurate reporting affects mandated disclosures or service-level agreements. Professionals should adopt a structured decision-making process that begins with understanding the business context of the IT service. When faced with performance issues, the first step is to identify the potential business impact. This involves mapping the affected IT service to critical business processes and understanding how the degradation in TBSM reporting accuracy could affect decision-making, financial reporting, or regulatory compliance. Subsequently, a risk assessment should be conducted, quantifying the likelihood and impact of these potential business consequences. Based on this assessment, appropriate mitigation strategies can be developed and prioritized, ensuring that efforts are aligned with business needs and risk appetite. Question 18. Regulatory review indicates that a new business requirement for enhanced service availability reporting within IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager V6, one necessitates the integration of data from multiple sources. Given the potential for data inconsistencies and the need for accurate reporting, what is the most professionally sound approach to developing this new reporting capability? Option A. Focus on delivering the reporting functionality as quickly as possible using the most readily available data, deferring any data validation or reconciliation to a later phase. Option B. Immediately develop custom scripts to extract and transform data from various sources directly into a new reporting database, bypassing TBSM data model for speed. Option C. Integrate raw, unverified data from all sources directly into the new reporting mechanism without an initial validation step to meet the business deadline. Option D. Prioritize establishing a validated baseline of service availability data within TBSM before developing the reporting layer, and then build reporting mechanisms that leverage this validated data. The correct answer is D. Prioritize establishing a validated baseline of service availability data within TBSM before developing the reporting layer, and then build reporting mechanisms that leverage this validated data. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in IT service management, where a new business requirement for enhanced reporting on service availability conflicts with existing operational constraints and the capabilities of the current IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager, TBSM, V6, 1. Implementation. The challenge lies in balancing the business's need for timely and accurate information with the technical realities of data collection, processing, and presentation within the existing system, while adhering to regulatory expectations for service transparency and reporting accuracy. The pressure to deliver quickly can lead to shortcuts that compromise data integrity or compliance. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a phased implementation that prioritizes data validation and alignment with TBSM architectural capabilities. This demonstrates best professional practice by ensuring that the reporting solution is not only functional, but also accurate, reliable, and compliant with any implicit or explicit regulatory requirements for data integrity and service reporting. By first establishing a baseline of accurate data within TBSM, and then developing reporting mechanisms that leverage this validated data, the solution builds trust and provides a solid foundation for future enhancements. This methodical approach minimizes the risk of delivering misleading information, which could have significant regulatory and business consequences. It aligns with principles of good governance and responsible IT service management. Incorrect approach is analysis. An approach that bypasses the initial data validation phase and directly integrates raw, unverified data into the new reporting mechanism is professionally unacceptable. This failure to ensure data integrity directly contravenes regulatory expectations for accurate service reporting. If the raw data is incomplete or inaccurate, the reports generated will be misleading, potentially leading to incorrect business decisions and regulatory noncompliance. Another incorrect approach is to implement a reporting solution that relies on custom scripts to extract and transform data outside of TBSM core data model without proper validation. This creates a black box scenario where the data lineage and accuracy are difficult to audit, posing a significant regulatory risk. It also increases the likelihood of data discrepancies between the operational system and the reporting output, undermining trust and compliance. Finally, an approach that prioritizes speed of delivery over thorough testing and validation of the reporting output is also professionally unsound. While agility is valued, it should not come at the expense of accuracy and reliability, especially when regulatory compliance is a factor. This can lead to the deployment of a flawed reporting system that generates inaccurate information, creating a compliance gap and potential reputational damage. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a risk-based approach, prioritizing data integrity and regulatory compliance. This involves understanding the capabilities and limitations of the deployed technology. IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager V6. 1. Thoroughly assessing the business requirements and designing a solution that balances these factors. A phased implementation, rigorous testing, and continuous validation of data are crucial. In situations of conflict between business demands and technical feasibility, open communication with stakeholders, clear documentation of decisions, and a commitment to delivering a reliable and compliant solution are paramount. The decision-making process should always consider the potential regulatory and business impact of any proposed solution. Question 19. Governance review demonstrates that the implementation of IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager V6.1 has resulted in a service dependency map that is largely based on tribal knowledge and incomplete documentation, rather than a systematic and validated analysis of inter-service relationships. Which of the following approaches best addresses this deficiency to ensure effective service impact analysis and adherence to best practices? Option A. Initiate a comprehensive project to systematically discover, document, and validate all service dependencies within TBSM, leveraging its built-in discovery and modeling capabilities, and establishing a process for ongoing maintenance and verification. Option B. Conduct a series of workshops with senior management to gain their high-level understanding of critical services, and then manually input these perceived critical relationships into TBSM. Option C. Focus on improving the performance metrics displayed within TBSM, as this will indirectly highlight critical services and their potential dependencies through observed performance degradation. Option D. Rely on the existing operational teams to continue updating the dependency information as issues arise, assuming that critical dependencies will eventually be identified through incident resolution. The correct answer is A. Initiate a comprehensive project to systematically discover, document, and validate all service dependencies within TBSM, leveraging its built-in discovery and modeling capabilities, and establishing a process for ongoing maintenance and verification. Explanation. This scenario presents a common challenge in IT governance where the implementation of a new system, IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager, TBSM, V6.1, has not fully aligned with established best practices for service impact analysis. The professional challenge lies in balancing the immediate need for operational visibility with the long-term requirement for robust, auditable, and compliant service management processes. A failure to accurately map dependencies can lead to misinformed decision-making, inefficient incident response, and potential breaches of service-level agreements, SLAs, which could have regulatory implications if specific service commitments are not met. The correct approach, which involves a thorough, documented, and validated service dependency mapping exercise using TBSM capabilities, represents best professional practice because it directly addresses the core purpose of TBSM, providing a business-centric view of IT services. This approach ensures that the system accurately reflects the operational reality, enabling effective impact analysis. It aligns with the principles of IT service management, ITSM, frameworks, which emphasize accurate configuration management and service modeling for informed decision-making and risk mitigation. By leveraging TBSM features for dependency mapping, the organization builds a foundation for proactive problem management and efficient change control, thereby enhancing service resilience and compliance with any contractual or regulatory obligations related to service availability and performance. An incorrect approach that relies solely on anecdotal evidence or incomplete data for dependency mapping is professionally unacceptable. This failure represents a significant risk as it leads to a distorted view of service relationships. It can result in the misallocation of resources during incidents, the unintended disruption of critical business services during changes, and an inability to accurately assess the business impact of IT failures. From a regulatory and ethical standpoint, operating with such a flawed understanding of service dependencies could lead to non-compliance with service-level commitments, potentially resulting in penalties or reputational damage. Furthermore, it demonstrates a lack of due diligence in implementing and utilizing a critical IT management tool, undermining the integrity of the IT governance framework. Another incorrect approach, which prioritizes the speed of deployment over the accuracy of the service model, also fails to meet professional standards. While rapid deployment can be a business objective, it should not come at the expense of fundamental data integrity. This approach risks creating a system that is technically functional but operationally misleading. The long-term consequences of inaccurate data can outweigh any short-term gains in deployment speed, leading to increased operational costs, prolonged incident resolution times, and a higher likelihood of service disruptions. Ethically, it suggests a disregard for the principles of sound IT management and a failure to deliver a system that can reliably support business objectives and regulatory requirements. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a structured approach that prioritizes data accuracy and process integrity. This includes 1. Clearly defining the objectives for implementing TBSM, emphasizing the need for accurate service impact analysis. 2. Allocating sufficient resources and time for thorough dependency mapping, leveraging the capabilities of TBSM. 3. Implementing a validation process to confirm the accuracy of the mapped dependencies with relevant stakeholders. 4. Establishing ongoing processes for maintaining and updating the service dependency model as the IT environment evolves. 5. Ensuring that all IT governance policies and procedures are reviewed and updated to reflect the capabilities and requirements of TBSM. This systematic approach ensures that the implemented solution is not only technically sound, but also operationally effective and compliant. Question 20. Risk assessment procedures indicate that the current approach to managing IT service risks within the IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager V6.1 environment may not be optimally aligned with business objectives. Which of the following approaches best addresses this concern by enhancing proactive risk identification and mitigation? Option A. Prioritizing the configuration and utilization of TBSM advanced risk management features in favor of basic event collection to reduce immediate operational overhead. Option B. Focusing on the volume of technical alerts generated by individual IT components and establishing thresholds for alert suppression to reduce operational noise. Option C. expanding the scope of manual, quarterly risk assessment workshops to include a broader range of IT infrastructure components without integrating real-time event data. Option D, implementing a strategy that continuously monitors the health of IT services and correlates IT infrastructure events to their potential business impact, using TBSM built-in capabilities for service dependency mapping and impact analysis. The correct answer is D, implementing a strategy that continuously monitors the health of IT services and correlates IT infrastructure events to their potential business impact, using TBSM built-in capabilities for service dependency mapping and impact analysis. Explanation: this scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires evaluating the effectiveness of existing best practices for managing IT service risks within the context of IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager, TBSM, v6. 1. The challenge lies in discerning which approach genuinely enhances risk mitigation and aligns with the principles of robust IT service management, rather than merely appearing compliant or superficial. Careful judgment is required to differentiate between a proactive, integrated risk management strategy and a reactive, siloed one. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it emphasizes a holistic and integrated view of risk management, directly leveraging the capabilities of IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager v6. 1. By focusing on the continuous monitoring of service health and the correlation of IT infrastructure events to business impact, this approach ensures that risks are identified and addressed at a level that matters to the business. This aligns with regulatory expectations for demonstrating due diligence in IT service delivery and risk oversight, ensuring that potential disruptions are minimized and business continuity is maintained. It promotes proactive identification and mitigation, which is a cornerstone of effective IT governance and risk management frameworks. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on technical event logging without correlating to business impact fails to meet regulatory expectations for demonstrating business risk. It represents a failure to translate technical data into actionable business intelligence, leaving the organization vulnerable to unforeseen business consequences. Another incorrect approach that relies on infrequent, manual risk assessments without continuous monitoring overlooks the dynamic nature of IT service risks and the real-time capabilities offered by TBSM. This can lead to outdated risk profiles and a lack of agility in responding to emerging threats, potentially violating principles of ongoing risk management and oversight. A third incorrect approach that prioritizes cost reduction over risk mitigation, by deprioritizing TBSM advanced risk-related features, demonstrates a fundamental misunderstanding of the total cost of ownership and the potential financial and reputational damage from unmanaged IT service risks. This directly contravenes ethical obligations to protect the organization's assets and stakeholders. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a thorough understanding of the specific IT service management tools in use, such as IBM Tivoli Business Service Manager v6. 1. And their capabilities for risk assessment and mitigation. Professionals should prioritize approaches that demonstrate a clear link between IT operations and business outcomes, enabling proactive risk identification and response. This involves evaluating proposed solutions against established IT governance frameworks and regulatory requirements, ensuring that the chosen strategy provides demonstrable value in terms of risk reduction and business resilience.